Waging war on corruption. Crashing through the lies and disinformation Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central. Live. It's 12 noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. Re-aired on AM and FM stations across the country. Also XM 158. And we're also on some of the other channels. We're getting that posted up on Infowars.com. Paul Watson's writing an article about that today. They carry 1 hour of the weekday show at night and 3 hours on Saturday, and hopefully they're going to be expanding that. Very, very exciting. I want to thank all of our AM and FM affiliates, XM, you name it, WWCR shortwave. You can also listen at Infowars.com. Don't forget, over 35,000 downloads in the last month of our new free iPhone app. Go to Infowars.com, big banner on the right-hand side, or go to the listen page for all the different listening features. You can listen on Flycast on any cell phone, but it's a channel on there. This is your own app, has a lot of great features. It is 5 stars at the App Store with over, 900 ratings now. So go check that out. Even if you don't have an Apple iPhone, you can send the link to the free download on the iTunes Store. You can find that link at Infowars.com to friends, family, coworkers, neighbors that have an iPhone, ladies and gentlemen. So a great way to listen to the show, free anywhere you want. We're also have a link on there to the podcast, the free podcast. So download the whole show whenever you want, however you want. And don't forget, we're premiering 2 films next month, April 15th, April 21st. Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA, the most powerful police state film I've ever made. I haven't made one in almost 8 years. And, of course, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined by Jason Burmas. You can pre-order those now so you get them first. Make copies of them, get them out to everybody. In other important news, Representative Darrell Issa, who we've interviewed before, we need to get him back on, will call for special prosecutor to investigate White House bribery, quid pro quo. And then I have another Times Free Press article about the same thing in Tennessee. They openly gave Congress members, House and Senate members, wives, children, business partners, lucrative government positions and jobs openly to do this sellout. This is illegal, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. We have the states sue. The states pass laws against Obamacare and against the carbon tax and everything else and amnesty. But you also go after these people criminally. They got Al Capone on tax evasion. We will get these people however we can. They are a pack of criminals and must be brought to justice. Separately, the Senate passed the compromise fix-it bill, as it's being called, and it's now going to the House. Pelosi says Congress will pass health care fix today. So it went back to the Senate, back to the House. Obama has already signed that, and we're going to be going over it. Now, I want to talk about the nanny state. And I've told the story before, but I'll tell it briefly so there's congruity here in this piece we're doing right now. 7 years ago, I'm at La Madeleine restaurant here in Austin with my wife and my son. I go to the bathroom, come back out. There's a big crowd of people yelling, call 911, call 911. I go over. People are pushing on me, trying to stop me from giving the Heimlich maneuver with a woman turning purple laying on the table. By then, she was on the table, starting to pass out. I did the Heimlich, came out, and some were angry at me for helping her, saying you should have waited for the police, should have waited for the EMS. Others were saying you're a hero. I told my wife we're not finishing our food. If I broke a rib or something, which I didn't, she may sue us. Let's get out of here. Gerald Celente, trends forecaster, told the same story, similar. He said, is there a doctor in the house? Big restaurant. Woman's choking. Or it was a man choking in that case. I had him on a month ago and was telling the story, and he said same thing happened to him. And no one would help the person, so he did the Heimlich. And it turned out there was a doctor there, but because of liability, he didn't want to help. And you see the cases every few days in the news, all over Europe, all over the U.S. and Canada. A cop a few years ago got hit for over an hour plus. He laid on the side of the road bleeding to death at one of the busiest thoroughfares. It's the corner of William Cannon and I-35. No one helped him till cops came by. You see the cases of a woman being mugged or stabbed, bleeding to death for 4 hours in Toronto. How did we go from being people that would help each other to people that will drive on by an old lady being mugged? The idea that the police are specialists and it's their job to protect you is a fraud. The courts have ruled they have no liability to protect you that will respond after a crime has been committed to carry out justice. Now, they try to protect you, but depending on the state, 6 to 12 minutes, depending on the city, for 911 to be able to respond. And every few days, I know you see the stories too, we read about a woman or a young man, normally Chicago, New York, L.A., where people are taught to not own guns or where they can own guns in some of these cities. Someone will bust in. You've all heard the 911 tapes. He's coming. He's got a knife. They're like, where are you? What street is it? And the cops show up 15 minutes later, and you're gutted and dead, and the guy gets away. We need to find our humanity again. Get off the bench. Stop being spectators to our own destruction or others' destructions. You need to go out, buy firearms, take shooting lessons, learn how to use it. And look, having an alarm is fine. I've got an alarm. I've actually got 2 alarms, and I got cameras on my house because, I get a lot of death threats and stuff. And every once in a while, a tree will bang into a window and the alarm goes off. I get out of bed. I go to the instant access pistol safe right by the bed. 2 seconds, pops out, and I walk out and walk around the house, secure the perimeter, and find out what happened. I can't imagine being somebody in England where I read the articles every few months where somebody breaks in a house, is attacking them, the homeowner stabs them with a butcher knife, or in one case, pushes the guy out a 2-story window, he breaks his legs, and the police charge them. They want you to lay there and take it. And they're not worried about criminals. They're not worried about open borders. They're not worried about any of this. They're worried about citizens thinking they have a right to defend themselves, which you do. It's a God-given, basic, common sense right. And even in Texas, every few weeks I see stories about a woman being raped or killed or attacked, and where the guy breaks down the door, she locks her bedroom door, calls 911, and gets raped or killed. It's time for women to stop being victims. It's time for women to buy firearms. It's time for men to buy firearms. I have 2 daughters. One of them's 5, already knows how to shoot, and shoot good. My son knows how to shoot. This is so fundamental, and it's the same spirit of let a woman choke, call 911 when the average person will die in 4.5 minutes from asphyxiation. It's the same reason we let somebody else fight the banks, or somebody else fight the UN, or somebody else fight the healthcare takeover, or somebody else. Look, we've been right about it all. The UN takeover, the global banks, the surveillance, the staged terror, the police state, how they're going to use the military against the American people, the federalization of police, all this legislation to secretly arrest citizens and even torture us. I had Judge Napolitano going over it earlier. It's in the legislation that Lindsey Graham's introduced. Obama saying he has the power to shut the internet down over cybersecurity. Cass Sunstein, his regulations are saying that they want to shut down conspiracy theories. And he lists people that say man-made global warming isn't real. Anthropogenic global warming. I mean, there are tyrants, bona fide, signed, sealed, and delivered, certified. There is no doubt that every other nation on earth has fallen to tyranny in the past. We are falling. It doesn't have to happen. And that's why I'm so excited that not just people on the street or people that didn't like me in the past, but major radio executives, some of the biggest in the country, have called me in the last 2 weeks and have said, you are absolutely right about all this. We can't believe this is happening. We're going to try to figure out ways to get you on more stations nationwide. But the owners and shareholders of these companies are globalist. But we know we don't have any future. That's why you hear Limbaugh saying New World Order, world government, New World Order. They want your guns. They may cancel the election. They may bring in martial law. In fact, can you cue up that Savage clip from earlier, and then we'll go to the Brinks clip? They can't listen. Most people aren't government operatives in media. There are some, and that's come out in congressional hearings, that kind of set the ball rolling and put out the talking points. Most of them go according to what they think's popular. And if it's a conspiracy theory to talk about a global government bank takeover plan, I better not talk about it even as it's happening. But now people are realizing this is a hot, oppressive, serious tyranny. This isn't something you can just stand back and go along with. Did you find it? Let's play a clip of Savage telling it like it is. Here it is. For some reason, this only ever happens in the 4th hour that the clips don't work. You know, we'll try to play that towards the end of the show. Let's go ahead and play. Let's go ahead and play this Brinks clip. We're going to get this Brinks clip queued up here in a minute or so. because I've been seeing these Brinks ads over and over and over and over and over again, where it shows kids in danger with their mother. There's never a man in the house because, well, half the country doesn't even have men in the house now. They're domesticating us, bringing us into bondage scientifically. Or if there is a man in the house, they cower with the wife and children, and the alarm goes off, and Brinks calls and tells them they've called 911. You know, you can't even call 911 yourself. Brinks calls them for you. Or there's a guy at a party, and nobody knows who he is, and he tries to break in later. These women go and cower and talk to Brinks on the phone. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to have an alarm. I think it's good.